Okay, so there's going to be plenty of time for questions at the end of this call. I'm actually not going to connect this bot to high level at all. We're just going to focus on the bot building process. I'm going to upload documents and we're going to test it in the local testing environment and troubleshoot things as they come up, because they're going to come up. They always do. Let's get rolling. Okay, so if you are new to CloseBot, when you make an account, you get to this screen by clicking Modify Bot. I have many bots in here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one from, let's see, I'm going to do a coaching template. And let's rename this. So on this general tab, we have label, bot name, response delay in seconds, and bot usage if you're a super user. Let's go through what all these do. The label is just an internal label, so you know which bot you're working with. There we go. And I want the bot to call itself Sandy. Response delay seconds. So our average response rate, and this is only going to change things when you're working in your live environment. It won't affect the testing environment at all. But our average rate should be around 20, maybe 25 seconds. This adds extra time to that. So if you're doing texting or email and you don't want it to respond so fast, you can put extra time here. We'll leave this at 0 because it doesn't matter for our local testing. Bot usage, 30-day limit. If I wanted to limit the number of messages I want this bot to be allowed to do over a 30-day period, I could do that here. We'll leave it off. Stop for upset lead. Let's turn this off. I'm going to turn on multi-objective handling, and you'll see what that does later. I'll bring it up in a little bit. Let's allow it to keep going when all the objectives are complete. Both of these models are pretty much the same. It's just whichever you've done more testing with on your own. I'll just leave it at the default. Typos and breakup messages, again, not going to affect the testing environment. These things only work in the live environment, so I'll leave these at 0. And then words not allowed in responses, let's leave this blank. This is mainly for if you work in an industry where you're not allowed to say certain words, you could put it in here. And then the bot, after it comes up with its response, will then see if it used any of those words and then find synonyms for those words. Okay. Not going to have it integrated. Now, let's build this bot together. I'm going to try something out, and we're going to put no business information in here. Let's put very little in here. So we're going to put very little information in here because we're going to use the uploads. And I want it to be easy to see which uploads it's pulling in. How to respond. We'll just leave this the way it is. I'm going to use the variable lead name in here. Remember, we have 2 variables right off the bat you can use, at lead_name and at rep_name. Lead name will be replaced with the contact name that it pulls in. rep name will replace with the bot name that we have set up here. And let's just keep this simple, friendly and relaxed. Let me save this. Okay, I'm going to go and let's find a website to pull from. Scroll down a ways. Digital marketing coaching. This looks like it has some stuff in it. So let's pull this. I'm going to go to my storage area. And we'll put in a website. Now we have these advanced settings. If you don't know what this stuff means, I recommend you just leave it blank. I'm going to leave it blank. Now, sometimes we get a warning when scraping websites. Let me refresh the screen. If the site doesn't allow robots to scrape the site, we might get a warning. So I don't know why I didn't show it right away, but it's here now. Let's do, might be hard to find a relevant upload, but let's do some text input as well. Let's go back to that website and copy and paste some things into here.
So then, for this one, it's just you just hit the different side, it's espresso shot and then it's Americano out. The middle one, you used to do a double shot, but I don't know how to reprogram. So.
Well, it's in there white from the white text. There we go. Well, in this one. And this one.
Here's the stage too.
There you go. We'll load that. Looks like I need to see why it's taking the list away when I upload. That's why I like to test all these live with you guys. Okay, so that's in there. Now, what's cool is I can click this download button, and I'll be able to see, I can download exactly what it pulled in. So I can see what it pulled in and verify what it looks like. So something you might want to do just to see what information it's pulling in. Keep in mind in our article on uploads, I mean, I could go to the knowledge library. This article talks about different types of uploads. Web scraping is the worst because if you think about it, I mean, it's going to pull in everything like the header here, the buttons with labels, it's unformatted. That's generally the worst way to do it. So just something to keep in mind. It is quick though. Okay, so we have some resources in there that I'll be able to use. Let's go back to modifying our bot. And we're going to do some objectives for this bot. I want to showcase our multi-objective completion. Let's start off by doing a gather info, name, clearing out the extra prompt area. And then we're going to get their email. Anytime you have information that's specific to an objective, that's good information for the extra prompt. We try to keep as little, the smallest amount of things in that main tab as possible. So I'm going to tell them here why I need their email address and not put that in the main tab, just because it's only relevant here. So let's say, let's do a phone. So super easy, name, email, phone. And I'm going to do one more objective. And I'm going to put some extra information in here about why we need that information. There we go. So I'm going to showcase the multi-objective feature, and I'm going to show something that we plan on writing an article for, and we haven't yet. But what if we sent a message initially to these people requesting their name, email, phone? We have name, email, phone objectives, and with the multi-objective completion option turned on, if they give that name, email, phone in the first message, it would jump straight to desired income. So we're going to be testing that. But first, let me also apply these items. Now, when you apply library items, it could take up to 10 minutes for those items to apply. They'll display first in gray as they were, showing not applied. And then when they are applied, you can just refresh your screen and you'll see that they're applied. Sorry for the slowness. We are working on things on our back end. I'm just going to refresh it. We have had issues as well with high level being slow. Let's try this again. Let me take a look at the chat. We have some messages in here. Okay, there we go. So now I'll wait a little bit. I'll address the chat and then we'll refresh the screen and see when these are blue. You can use Go high level custom values in the knowledge storage, but it drastically reduces the ability for the bot to pull in relevant information. It's searching for, I don't know how much you know about how AI works, but when a message comes in, it converts that message to a series of numbers to calculate like the meaning behind it. And then it searches for a similar series of numbers in our document storage. Now the numbers hold the meaning behind the words. So if you save a variable, there's not as much meaning in that variable because it's not actually words. So it's going to drastically reduce what it's able to pull in. Once it pulls in the variable though, we do replace that variable with the value from high level. Good question. You can't embed CloseBot right now on websites without using the high level chat widget. Our version 2 product that we're actively building will have a standalone widget. That is not done yet. Okay, so I see these items are applied. So let's go in. And Michelle, it's different when you're using those variables in your main tab. That does not affect performance. It is going to make things a little bit slower, on average about a second slower in response times if you use Go high level variables. Unless Go high level has downtime, then it'll really slow things down. But other than that, nope, doesn't affect anything negatively if you use high level variables in here. And for anyone who's new, what we're talking about is the ability to use variables like this anywhere throughout your settings. Okay, let's go test this bot. Now, because I have my bots live and working, I don't use this test portal. Once you get things live, you really don't have to touch it Can't remember the last time I made edits to my homepage bot that's booking several appointments for us to our demo calendar every single day. I'm on this bot that we've been working on. I could select different models. And let's imagine the initial message they're getting from our Facebook ad or from our bot override message is prompting for their name, email, phone number. Let's just give them all of that. Something else that doesn't work in this testing environment, back-to-back message processing. So this is purely just testing responses, none of the bells and whistles. You see the bells and whistles when you plug it into a production environment. That's when it handles the back-to-back messages. That's when it splits up larger messages. Now, something to keep in mind too, it is going to take a little bit longer when you have the back-to-back multi-objective processing turned on. Still, though, that didn't take long at all. Here I see it finished name, email, and phone. Pretty cool. Now, if I had this connected to a high-level CRM, it would have updated the name, email, and phone on that contact. And then it went into our next goal of desired income. It did ignore the question. I don't like that so much. So I may put in the how to respond. Make sure you answer questions from lead name when they ask questions. Now let's check this out. So here is why websites are dangerous. It decided for some reason that the best thing to pull in was this. Because there's so much nonsense on a website that sometimes clouds its judgment on what important things are. So then we have this prompt to summarize this and include it in our main. Not very helpful. So when you're troubleshooting and you have uploads, you're curious about why it's not pulling in your information, you can come in here and click library to see what it's pulling in. And if this seems like the wrong information, that's when you'd want to edit your upload. Here we can see it accomplishing each goal. So with our goal, our multi-goal completion turned on, it's going to check one goal at a time in order. So this is the name one. That was the first one in the line. Rating 100, anything over a 50 by default, or our sensitivity score on the objective will get passed. So that passed. 100 on email, 100 on phone number, 1 on determine how much Bryce hopes to make monthly with their agency. And then all that information, all this stuff, all of these prompts determine how we structure this main prompt. So now we're working on determine how much Bryce hopes to make monthly with their agency. It's pulled in our irrelevant library item. It knows the day and time and it's going to formulate a message. Okay. Just because let's try this again just to test our library again. And this is good. We'll be able to troubleshoot some things. It didn't pull in the price. Let's click it and see what it pulled in. Again, something from the website, just a header. Probably because like there is a section that talks about the price, but there's also a header that talks about a free consultation, and free is kind of mentioning pricing of a consultation nonetheless, but that's why it pulled in free. Okay. Let's go eliminate that website. See how eliminating the website affects our performance. Again, it'll take up to 10 minutes for that to apply. But while I'm at it, I'm just going to go delete that website. Yeah, very much, Michelle. This is a very good example of why it's best in the long term. I mean, when you're just trying to stand up something really quickly, sure, use a website. But in the long term, it's really better to not use a website. There's just so much garbage in there. And there's even like hidden garbage that you can't see. It's like hidden text in websites that it's pulling in and using. Okay. Now let's go test this bot again without making any other changes. Oh, one other change I did want to make. I lied. I'm going to tell it to answer questions. This part, some of you may have seen it. If you want to share a link, do so as plain text and not as a hyperlink. We fixed that, and then it broke again, and then we fixed it again. It's fixed. We don't need this. I like to remove as much as possible. The smaller, oh, I'm on the wrong one. That's another thing it does sometimes, switches bots. The smaller the prompt, the better. So remove anything that's not needed. Dynamic data that you need in the library. The only way to pull in dynamic data is with custom variables. It doesn't rescrape a URL. So imagine you have uploaded a website to the knowledge base and then they totally change the website. It's not pulling in that new website. It takes a snapshot of that website in that point in time and doesn't redo it. If you use variables in here, so For example, this, if you have contact website on that contact field, and then the website URL changes, that would change here too. Now, this is not scraping the URL. This just knows the information. A better example would be that. So if you change the last name in their system, that would reflect the new last name. That's the only way to use dynamic data. Custom values, custom fields. Let's go back to test your bot. Let me go ahead and copy this. Michelle, prompt called, contact details. Okay, so let's pause on that. I'm going to look at this. So I removed the website and told it to answer questions first before it asks its own question. I see that it pulled in that $2,300. Let me go to. Now, the technicality of some people on this call is probably different. Know that, so I'm going to explain exactly how they call it a RAG, how our document retrieval method works. If you're not interested in the nerdy stuff, ignore the next 30 seconds of what I'm about to say. So our document deep dive in our article section goes into exactly how our document retrieval method works. The first thing we do is we tell the AI just to respond. Make up a response if needed. It's the first thing we do. So this has no information. We're telling it just guess. And then this guess is what we convert to numbers or a vector. So we convert it to a vector to convey meaning, and then we search our library for similar vectors. So you see that brought in our pricing, brought in some of this other stuff that I thought might be relevant, and then this library stage is where it summarizes the contents of this context. So that's how it works. Usually it's in 3 or 4 stages to do the whole library process: build, embedding, library, summary. Now here are the stages where it's accomplishing our goals, stopping on the goal that it didn't accomplish, and using all that information, throwing it into the main prompt where it spits out its final response. It answered the question, pulled in relevant information, asked a question to try to dig into our objective. This was perfect. So the changes we made fixed everything. Let me go ahead and satisfy this one. Okay, so this should satisfy our objective. Oh, don't know why that happened. Let me refresh. Now, the reason why a lot of our features don't work in this testing environment is because it's what we've touched the least we're focused more on the actual performance of the AI in production. We could probably stand to go and refresh this testing portal as well. But oftentimes, a simple screen refresh fixes whatever problems are happening. So let's click this to investigate. Goal. It gave it a rating of 95. So it accepted that as satisfying our objective and stayed on to continue answering questions and engaging with the contact. Now, one more thing I want to show you. I'm going to go to the dashboard. The dashboard is extremely helpful because it's going to tell you which objective the bot is attempting when it sends a message and whether or not it accomplished an objective. So here, when it sent this message, it was working on desired income. That's really helpful to know what it was supposed to be working on. I also see that it accomplished an objective plus multiple. So if it has a plus next to it, we know that it accomplished more than one objective when it sent that message. And then here, it's not attempting any objective because we ran out of objectives, and it accomplished desired income. Okay, so now I'm going to bring up my participant screen. If anyone has questions about what we went over, now's the time. Questions about this bot or hypotheticals, nerdy stuff, not nerdy stuff, don't care. Go ahead and raise your hand and I will allow you to unmute and we'll chat. Okay, Michelle. Michelle, I'm reading your comment too. We listen so intently to what our users want. It was a simple feature request that someone put in, and I was like, oh yeah, why had I never thought of that? This needs to be a column. And then that day we implemented it. So we listen to you guys. Continue to bring ideas to us. Okay, go for it, Michelle.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm curious to know if other people are interested in this and if what I'm envisioning is the right thing to even envision. But I'm imagining that on the main tab with the 3 main prompts, I'm wondering if there could be a 4th prompt called contact details. So what I'm envisioning is that over time, this bot is continuing to interact with the same patients over and over again. So that first conversation where they're learning their pain points, scheduling them into a consultation. Then after that, following up, saying, hey, here's more information about what you discussed in your appointment with Dr. Smith. Let me know when you're ready to book your appointment. And then they book the appointment. And then after that, it's, hey, how's it going since your fill in the blank appointment type or procedure that you had? Are you ready to schedule your next one? But it has all this historical data, like, here's why you wanted to have the procedure in the first place. You couldn't get down on the floor and play with your grandkids. You want to be around for your grandkids' graduation. So things like that could be saved and then populated, and just to educate the bot so it can reference that information.
Yeah, great idea. And that's, yeah. So if you have the bot collecting information, or really even if you have fields that the doctor is using, definitely put all of those for now in the important business information. Let's grab some of the ones that you put in here. And I'll talk about some nuances. So for now, those can all go here. It really doesn't matter that it says important business information. We can really put any important information in here. The most important ones are really to keep the why the conversation is happening for that purpose and how to respond for that purpose. But this is like a catch-all for all important information. Now, keep in mind, it will pull this in exactly. So if you have a radio button that says it's spoken with bot and it's a radio button, yes or no, keep in mind this will be replaced with like yes, and that doesn't make much sense. So you would want to prepend maybe reference its name. You know, something like that. And it jumped to the next line just because it ran out of room. I didn't hit enter or anything. Let's make this more clear.
Maybe create two different bots, one that they go through if they've spoken with the bot before, one if they have not. And then if they have spoken with the bot before, it can reference all of this data.
So let's leave this blank because you'll just be using that as a switcher.
Mm-hmm.
You could, though, just put all the fields here, whether they've spoken to the bot or not. And then if those fields are blank, it's just going to replace this with a blank. So it's just going to do that if they're blank. If they're not blank, it's going to replace it with the text. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally.
Yeah, definitely. Put all the fields you want in here. It'll pull those in.
Just worried about running out of character space.
So the character space, this 1500 characters, it only counts the variables. So if this variable has 3000 characters, doesn't matter. The variable only has 30. Does that make sense?
That is great to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind though, OpenAI does have restrictions. So I don't remember what the token limits are, but say it gets crazy and you have like 17,000 characters in that variable. When we go to send it to OpenAI, the prompt is going to be huge and they may reject the request. So within reason, it can take a lot of information. Also keep in mind that the bigger these prompts get, the less efficient it is at remembering what its objective is. So there's a balance, but I can't foresee having like 1,000, even 2,000 characters in there really impacting much.
I could even run it through the GPT action in a high level workflow where it continues to modify that custom value and make it concise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's similar to what we do for the library item stuff. Most people, when they implement RAG, document retrieval, they take all the context and just throw that into the prompt. The reason why we summarize that before including that in the prompt is because we've seen that if it has too much information, it can't remember what it's supposed to do. So yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we do. You came to the right conclusion.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Custom values are 500 characters, Michael says. Custom fields, I don't know if they have a limit, but it looks like custom values, 500 characters. Other questions? We have Michael. This was Michael's idea, by the way, to do just a purely closed bot build and go into some troubleshooting. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question, you talked a lot about custom values in this, and I'm wondering how many levels deep can those custom values go? And then are they also treated differently from like at lead name? So let's say I have a custom field that is giving a custom value, and in that custom value, I reference at lead name inside of it. So that would be like 3 levels of inception, right? So is it going to be able to replace each of those? Or what is the order that those are replaced? And are the closebot custom values different than the go high level custom values? Or are they replaced at a different time?
2 questions there. It's 1 level deep. You could make a feature request for us to do n levels deep, and we would keep replacing as long as we are detecting variables up to
Okay.
a certain amount. Write a feature request for that.
Sure.
I never thought of that, but I'm sure some people would like that. Second question, we have 2 types of variables. We have these at variables. We just have access to at lead name and at rep name, unless you follow this method that is probably very little used now that we can reference closebot variables. I'll share this in the chat. Now, there's something to keep in mind. When we get a message, we see if your bot is using any go high level variables. If you are, we make several requests to go high level to pull in that data. And that request, those requests take time, usually 2 seconds. But sometimes go high level slow, and it could delay things up to a minute sometimes, we've seen. Usually that doesn't happen. That's once every maybe 30 minutes that'll happen to some of our users. But if speed is of the utmost importance to you, you want to use this method, because then you're using closebot variables. You're sending us the message. We don't have to make any extra requests to go high level. That's the only difference.
And then I have one more quick question if you have time for it. So in the developer tab, there is the option extra prompt. And I'm curious with that extra prompt, kind of how is that just brought in for that specific like answer on that webhook? Because I've been trying to use it on the follow-up campaign, because in the follow-ups, the responses quite often seem kind of dry, and it just is like, hey, what is your name? And so I've been trying to just add a little bit more life into those by adding extra prompting in there. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little more about how exactly that extra prompt works.
That's purely injected into the important business information when we process. That is not currently used in the follow-up, but great idea. Let's implement that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, put in a feature request for that too, and I'll make sure that we implement that, because that'd be easy. You know, a lot of people want a way to modify their follow-up prompting, even though we don't have UI to do that yet. So that would allow them to do that. Good idea.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Dave.
There we go. How you doing, Bryce?
Good.
Good. Good to see you. I got a newbie question for you, and a technical one, but I don't know that I'm prepared to ask the technical one, but also ask the newbie one. Okay. So in our objective flow, we ask the off-market potential seller, we ask them for timing, meaning when do you want to move? And then we move to another objective is condition. And then after maybe some rapport built, we ask for motivation and then price. Sometimes when we're asking timing, they respond with both timing and their motivation. So they'll respond and say something like, we're prepared to, we'd really like to leave in 30 days. We're trying to get to Arizona to be closer to our kids. And then the bot asks condition. And then when it gets to motivation, it's saying, now what, why do you want to leave? Why do you want to move? What's motivating to move or whatever, and
who's this?
Like,
do you have this turned on? The multi-objective handling?
I will verify that. Yeah, let me see.
Because what that does is every time it moves on to an objective, before it asks about it, it's going to see if it's already been accomplished.
Wow.
That's a relatively new thing.
Okay.
Within the past couple weeks.
Okay.
And that would address exactly that's been a pain point for people for a long time. And that was really the only downside of using closebot compared to these other tools that do everything all at once, all the time.
Okay, is that in the modify bot or the dashboard? I'm trying to.
Go into modify bot
Oh,
and
there
then click the general tab and see if you
Okay.
have objective handling turned on. We turned it off by default just because we didn't want to change how everyone.
it is not on, so I'm gonna turn that off.
Yeah, so turn that on and save it. And,
Okay, perfect.
that'll address that problem.
The other question I had was our bot seemed to be disconnected from the object flow, the objective flow. It seemed to ask condition twice. And I think we're gonna set up a ticket, and so we can go through that. But
So anytime you're troubleshooting why the bot said something, come to your dashboard. You
Okay.
may feel that it's asking about it multiple times, but maybe that's because it's still working on that objective because it doesn't think it completed it. Maybe it's written in a way that, so imagine this, so I'm going to share a document first before I go any further. If you guys haven't already, I totally rewrote most of the articles, revised them. The biggest change is this objective builder collection. It's now 10 articles instead of 1. I'm going to share this short description article. So imagine your short description says, determine the condition of the property.
Mhm.
Okay, which is probably about what it says. And they say, it's okay. It could be better, something vague. If you click into the bot response and click over to goal check, it might say the answer we got from the contact is vague. It doesn't meet our requirements to determine the condition of the property. And it might rate it something like a 20, like a kind of, but not really, something under your sensitivity level. Instead, if you put determine the rough or approximate condition of the property, and then in the extra prompt, anything about the condition is good with us. We just need to know some information. You know, that brings the bar down. So it's going to ask about it less and then be easier for it to pass that objective.
Sure, I'd definitely look into that. Our objective for condition actually has them rate 0 to 10, with 0 being a tear down and 10 brand new. And then
that's probably going to be the problem, because look at our prompting. We're telling it to do a rating. And if your contact is responding with a rating, it might be saying the rating is the number they're giving, which could throw it off. I've seen that in other scenarios, and it's hard to jerk the AI out of that. So maybe instead of having them give a rating, have them say like, you know, good, medium, tear down. How would you rate your house?
Okay, I had no idea. Yeah, it would respond with, well, it needs a new dishwasher, probably an 8. And then it was asking the condition again.
Yeah, because it was probably rating it an 8. Confused, that was kind of overriding our prompting from 1 to 100.
That's fascinating.
That's probably what it is.
Okay, here I thought it was such a brilliant question. So
that is a brilliant question.
Yeah, I'll go back and change.
That is brilliant.
Okay, super. The last question, I don't know if you have a hard stop or not. Edward is on the call. I think you would probably have to unmute Edward, and then he can ask about the we imported the new snapshots and they seem not to sync. So if Edward is available.
I asked him to unmute. When it's more than just importing a new snapshot. You can't leave any of the old snapshots intact. And then if you choose to load a multiple of all the custom fields, it's pointed at the wrong, like all kinds of things that can happen. Check custom fields and make sure you don't have duplicates of custom fields, and check our workflows and make sure there are no duplicates of the workflows.
Oh, so the old workflow should be deleted, not just turned off.
I mean, they can be turned off either way, but make sure they're at least turned off. And then if your bot's not responding, go through that article, bot not responding, and that will pick up where any issues are happening causing the bot to not respond. But there's just too much that it could be to address it on this call.
Okay, Edward, do you have anything to add to that, or does it look like we got some homework there to do?
The question is, so our goals accomplished list is not matching with our objective list.
Oh, and yeah, that could be many things too. Most of them are high level related. You can just type them in. You can go edit the goals accomplished custom field and add in your objectives. Just make sure they match exactly. They match the case and everything.
Okay. Okay. It won't affect, I mean, it won't make any destruction, devastation,
No.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to
Thank you, Bryce.
Alex. Yeah, of course.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Oh, sorry about that. So I put a question in the chat, but in case you didn't see it, I wanted to raise my hand. So basically, I've put this question in the Facebook group before, but we keep having every once in a while this issue where the bot says, sorry, we're all booked up. So I went into the logs and I'm getting an error 429, and this is through high level. And it says message
too many requests.
Too many requests, yeah.
Go ahead and bring that up to support and ask that it be moved to max. It's probably and you continue having that happen?
Every once in a while, not like every day, but just it out of a surprise. It just surprises us and it just kind of pops back up.
Yeah, send that in. How many contacts is it engaging with?
Not many. Right now, when this turned up, not many like simultaneously. So there weren't like any instances of like too many.
We are making a change that should help that. That seems like a high level issue though, because they shouldn't be limiting to that degree. Go ahead and still send it in, ask to be directed to max. It'll probably take us a while to get to it because we're going to implement these changes we're working on that should help that, even though it shouldn't be a problem first. And then we'll check back with you just to make sure it's not happening anymore. But maybe send it to go high level as well and just say you're getting a 429. Share the screenshot of the log with the trace ID and just say you're not doing very many requests. You shouldn't be getting a 429 and see if they have any insight.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We'll do. Just another question. We have a case in which we are developing a bot for like cars, right? So like auto dealer. And we're having an instance where we just had an instance in which just live testing. Somebody just said, hey, I have $500 for a down payment, and the bot said, yeah, just go ahead, that'll be enough. And that shouldn't be enough in reality. So we realized that there was some additional prompting we needed to do. But just a question, because I know AI typically isn't like very sophisticated with math equations, because the proper math equation for something like this is like, it needs to be between 15 and 30% of the amount of the desired vehicle. And that just seems like a very convoluted for a prompt. So do you have any recommendations in an instance like that?
Do you know the cost of the car that they've requested? Like, do you have a field with that information?
we're trying to work on that because it's not as simple. This particular customer, they do a lot of like Facebook Messenger leads, and apparently upon the first contact, it's not pulling in like which ad they're responding to and whatnot. So the short answer is no, we don't have that.
Until you have that. So when you have that, I would do math in high level workflows and then feed that into the bot. So you can tell the bot exactly what they need for a down payment with a custom variable or custom
Okay.
field. Yeah. Otherwise, I would just put in the how to respond. Don't agree to any payments or any terms yet. We need more information or something like that.
Right.
Just to
Got it.
blanket protect yourself.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mike, I realize I skipped you. Sorry about that. Let's go to Mike.
Hey Bryce, that's okay, thank you. I got a question. So I got my bot who, in the beginning of the conversation, it is like on the booking objective, and it points out the time that is not an available slot. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it has something to do with the knowledge base, because in the knowledge base I have the, so it pulls out the opening hours and the timings that an appointment can be made. And so my question is actually, do you think, and I also tried it in the playground, but there I can't find the issue. Do you think that these opening hours could have something to do with it? Maybe I can show you the prompt or
Yeah.
the...
It definitely could. I'm going to share this article first. Anytime you're like, why did my bot say this?
Mhm.
Click the message and click the main tab. That shows all the instruction that the bot uses to formulate a response. So if you want, we can go into your account and find an instance where that happened. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I got like the contact ID and the...
what's your email?
It's Kenneth. Oh, damn it. Kenneth made the account. Kenneth the Rose 86@gmail.com. Wait, let me just put it in the chat.
That's right. And this is
Kenneth the Rose.
which your bot body
Fidelity
it's
Clubs.
disconnected, by the way.
Yeah, but that's one that we don't use. It's the bot Fidelity Clubs. Yes, Fidelity.
We're getting the
Clubs
search
Global.
function fixed on this too. That's out of our control. We're getting that fixed. Okay.
That will be awesome. Bot 8344.
8344.
44, and then it's contact. Or do you need the message? This may be easier, or the contact.
Contact ID is good.
Contact ID. Computer is slow. Let me pull it up. I will put it in the chat. So this is the contact ID.
What language is this again? Is this?
This is Dutch.
Dutch. That's right.
And then there is like one message that is orange, like the 83 last two numbers.
Did you put that contact ID in?
Oh.
I don't see it. It may have gone specifically to like autopilot or something.
Should I put it in the chat again, or
Is that it? H54. Yes. Oh, did it go to Michael?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
So there's like the orange message, and then the message before that. Yeah,
this
down that one. Here is it stating like, okay, I have like 9:30. This is perfect. Do you want to come? And this 9:30 is not a possibility.
So let's look
And
at here. So pulled in availability,
mhm. And then
which
we
is,
have like the
is great.
Monday. Monday we have 9 o'clock, I think I see over there, but not 9:30.
Okay, so here
And
we,
then there is the context, what I mean.
yeah, so it pulled in this context, the operating hours of the club. And that confused it despite us giving it actual availability here. So I bet if you remove the context of the hours of the club,
Mhm. Okay, but I will do that then, and I hope this resolves my issues. I also had another issue that it confused the user by stating, okay, we have an availability for Monday, but next Monday was like this Monday was not an availability, but it stated the availabilities of Monday within 2 weeks.
now we just implemented a change on our end. Was that just yesterday?
Okay.
That was just yesterday. We implemented a change on our end to try to reduce that. Yeah. Everyone listening, sometimes we were seeing there was no availability for like a week until like not this upcoming Monday, but the next Monday. And it wouldn't specify the Monday. So it would say we have availability Monday at 9. Humans would assume, okay, that's this next Monday. Yeah, that works. Now we've changed our prompting to make it to force it to say the actual like date.
All right. The thing is that it was today that I had this issue.
Oh, well, let's look at that. That's perfect.
So it is, I will pull in the
Because as with anything with AI, we need like a bunch of testing to continue to dial that prompt.
yeah, of course.
In.
I will put it in the chat. What? Oh, did I put it to everyone? Can you see it in the chat? No, it was to Michael. Why am I to Michael's one? To everyone.
Michelle,
Okay.
that's a
Yes.
good idea. Can you send that in as a feature request?
Did you receive the contact?
Yep. We're looking at it now.
Right. So like in the it is in the message 411. There is it stating all the availabilities of Monday in 2 weeks and not next Monday. But because next Monday we don't got any availability.
Which message?
The 411. It ends with 411.
One?
Yeah, that one. The gray one. Yeah, and then
so it would have been this one, right? So let's take a look at our prompting and make sure this had it in there. Reiterate the date in your response for clarity. If it's more than a week out. So help me a little bit here. They said,
all right.
Wednesday?
I would like to come this today. I would like to come today. And then it stated like, okay, today, this afternoon is already booked. I got a spot available at 1700 or 5 p.m. Would that be good for you? And we got Monday more options. And it's referring to next Monday as in this Monday, the 10th. But actually, it's talking about Monday within 2 weeks.
Monday the 10th. Here shows there's availability.
Wait a second.
Here, I think it did it right because it said 5 today, or you know, Monday, which this is this upcoming Monday. There are more times from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Not many more times, but there are times.
That is correct indeed. Could you go to the next orange message?
This one?
Yeah.
So here
Because-
it suggested 9.
This is the one. This is the one. Because the content stated, okay, what time on Monday, and then it states, okay, Monday we get availabilities from 9 to 1 p.m. and then at 4 p.m. And here there are no availabilities except for like in 2 weeks. There we got Monday 9 to 1 p.m. or 9 or 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. So that is like in 2 weeks.
It's pulling in a lot. Let's see if I can have it pull in less. We'll play with this prompt. I'll save this and we'll play with it to try to get better results for you.
All right, awesome. That were my
Absolutely.
2 questions. I will remove the opening or the operating hours from my knowledge base. Thank you for this information. And yeah, I hope that we can get this other part also fixed.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, Bryce.
Of course. Okay. Well, I do have to take off. I appreciate everyone for being on this call. A lot of fun to spend all of my time in CloseBot. It's kind of refreshing for me just to be in CloseBot. So thank you for that, Michael. Thank you for the idea. As always, we will put the recording of this on YouTube for everyone to reference. If you haven't already, go check out our articles. I spent a lot of time revising those, doing videos for every article and organizing. We now have 48 articles in there, all up to date. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.